Hey, so what's up, everybody? This is Ruben Garcia, and this is a beautiful day. And today on the Proven by Ruben podcast, we have Alyssa Hennessy. Mm-hmm. What's up?
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
Excited to be here?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you could, tell everyone who you are, what you do, how you do it, and all that good jazz.
Okay, so my name is Alyssa Hennessy, and I recently resigned as the events and promotions director at Seed, so some of you might know me from that capacity with the food trucks around town and Dancing with the Fable Stars and that sort of thing. But I have recently branched out on my own to pursue writing professionally and dream interpretation and what we call professional encouragement. So I think we're kind of in the same boat, what we do, but but just a different capacity. So
So how was that exiting from Seed? Was that a scary thing to do? Was it something you prepared yourself for?
Yeah, I had prepared myself for it because when I went in, I was expecting it to be a part-time temporary position.
Yeah.
I had originally just planned on directing one Dancing with the Fable Stars, and I ended up staying for 2 years.
Because you were just that good.
Yeah.
They're like, you ain't going nowhere.
I love Seed. I love everybody that works there, and there's never a good time to leave a good job.
Right.
And so even on my last day, I was like, what am I doing? I love all the people in this building, but I know that especially writing and dream interpreting, word had kind of spread that was kind of my side hustle.
Yeah.
And so it started to take off a little bit. And honestly, when I was talking to my, my colleagues at Seed and stuff, my position at Seed really did exactly what Seed is supposed to do. I went there enjoying writing, and I left a writer.
Right.
And so just while I was there, I made a lot of really great connections, and learned a ton. And I was like, I think that it's time to kind of take the show on the road.
Yeah, no doubt. So what's the biggest thing you took out of Seed?
Honestly, to be brave and go for it.
What does brave look like for you?
Doing the thing that I know that I want to do. And that's what, anybody that walks through Seed's doors, and I know you and I actually have talked about this before on a podcast with Seed.
Yep.
But anybody that goes through Seed's doors, no matter what program they're partaking, you have to be brave. Like, it takes guts to walk in that building, because either you're looking to start a business or grow your business, or you need help with your business.
Yeah.
You're not sure if it's going to make it, and you need to revamp some things.
Right.
Or people who need self-sufficiency teaching and housing and that sort of thing. It takes guts to walk in there. And so being there for 2 years and really working for Susie and working with everybody that's in there, just hearing that theme over and over, like, keep moving, keep going forward, keep pursuing it.
Yep.
And so after my second Dancing with the Fable Stars, I still loved what I was doing, but I was starting to get that itch to write. Like, I love writing, and there's no time when you're working 40, 50 hours a week.
Right.
I mean, there is. You can always find time.
Sure.
But I have 3 small children too, so anything that was outside of a full-time job was, my kids and my husband, right, and all of those things. But yeah, so Seed taught me to go for it. Be brave.
And guess what? You're being brave, right?
Yeah,
you jumped, and now you're moving into the things that you truly enjoy. So when you say writing, what type of writing?
So right now I'm actually working on, so I have a website.
Okay.
I wouldn't define myself as a blogger, but Jenny Bell and the other Fayetteville blogger folks have kind of taken me into their circle and taught me their ways.
Yeah.
But it used to be just a really long Instagram caption.
Right.
And but right now I'm actually working on a novel based on my experience with cancer. I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 17. So it's a novel based on true experiences.
Is it something that you have compiled since you were 17? Like if you're going back to old notes and old feelings, or is it something you're kind of sitting down with yourself now?
No, it's it's a story that I've told for a really long time. So that's actually how I define myself professionally, as Alyssa Hennessy, a storyteller, because I think stories are so important.
No doubt.
And so my cancer story, even though it's just one chapter of my life, it was a forming story of my life. And so when people ask me certain things about myself, I have visible scars. So people will be like, oh, what's that from? And it reminds me of, I'll tell them my story of what I went through and what I learned through it and how I came out of it. It's a story of hope.
Right.
So I haven't been working on the book. And actually, this is a shift doing a novel. Originally, I had planned on doing a memoir.
Right.
But there are for one thing, it's actually 20 years ago today that I was diagnosed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we planned it. Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know.
I mean, cool, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, it's huge. 20 years is huge.
Yeah,
So,
no doubt.
well, and it was kind of funny because this date came up and you're like, can we do this date? And I was like, and that's the 20-year anniversary. So, yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah. So, it's been 20 years and my mom is the author. And so she's kind of,
cool.
Fought the good fight going uphill and figuring things out for me. And one of the things that I've learned from her is memoirs are really different than any other kind of writing capacity, right? So if I'm writing a memoir, or if you want to write your autobiography, or however you do it, every single fact in the story has to be 100% true.
Right.
And not that I'm looking to exaggerate or lie or anything like that, but it's down to the weather that day, the color of the building, those sorts of things.
Right.
So if I want to write a chapter or a paragraph about what it felt like the first day that I walked into the cancer center,
right.
Does it matter to the reader if the building was tan or gray? Do I really remember if the building is tan or gray? I mean, it was 20 years ago, so I actually do remember the color, but is that important to the story?
Right.
Not really. What's important is I remember how it felt.
Right.
And I remember what I experienced, being 17 years old, my senior year of high school, what that was like in that moment, And so for the sake of storytelling, it's easier to tell a story if you can write it and let it unfold. You have your destinations and your key themes and points along the way. But it's kind of cool in doing fiction that you can let the story grow and fill in parts that let the story tell itself too, so it reaches a bigger audience. Yeah. And I think it has a bigger capacity to inspire hope in people than if I tried to do a memoir. I'm not famous. I'm not, all of these things, but it's still a story of hope, and the theme doesn't change. Right. So,
did you find yourself digging up old emotions that you didn't even realize were there, still lingering? And
yeah, so I actually wrote my memoir and completed it 2 years ago, and stopped hardcore at a certain chapter.
Yeah,
where it was like.
Yep, not doing it.
Can't go anymore. Yep. Thought it was cool. Not cool. So it's
I'll lay you right here.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm going to exit and never touch that again.
Just back up very slowly.
Yeah. So it does stir up things, because especially if you're doing your entire memoir, different seasons that you don't want to think about, and even in my cancer, my story of hope with cancer, there's a whole part of that I'm not even going to touch on because I don't think it's pertinent in the novel. Sure. And it might come up maybe in another book. Who knows? Maybe there's another novel down the road that can discuss those themes. Yeah. But it is interesting what drums up when you write.
Yeah.
At least for writers.
Right.
So, yeah.
How much longer do you think till that book is finished?
So my goal is to actually finish it by the end of the month.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Did you want to kind of hit it around that 20th anniversary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I didn't intentionally resign at Seed in time for November.
Right.
But what's interesting is November is the National Novel Writers Month. It's called NaNoWriMo.
Nice.
Yeah, and
I feel like that's on a shirt somewhere.
It is. It's on coffee cups and all kinds of stuff. Hashtag NaNoWriMo. Yeah. It's actually a nonprofit. NaNoWriMo is a nonprofit.
Oh, gotcha.
And but internationally, there are literally hundreds of thousands of people cramming to write a novel during the month of November. This has been going on since the 80s. And there are lots of books that are published right now that are NaNoWriMo books. That the goal is 50,000 words in 30 days.
Wow. So when did you
sprint?
But when did you start?
November 1st.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So
where are you at? Where?
Like how many words have I written?
Percent-wise, yeah.
Percentage, I'm about 20% done.
Oh, that's not bad. We're in day what?
Yeah, 5. Yeah. So my goal was to have 10,000 words by tonight. I'm at 8,200 right now.
What did I just do? I feel like I've interrupted this time.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
Coming here, I was like, oh my gosh, I could have got so much writing. But this is important. So.
I feel so bad now.
Yeah. Well, and then in hindsight, too, I was like, maybe I should have met with him, like, after I published the book.
Well, yeah.
So, but I do have a website that people can go to.
Well, so the side that I see is like we get to see the hustle in the middle.
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
Right, in the middle of doing it.
Right.
And I appreciate you coming and doing this in the middle of this crazy because people will download it.
I put on actual shoes today.
I love them.
It's good because I've been I've been like.
You actually took a shower today,
yeah, because when you're writing, when the goal is 2,000 words a day, that doesn't sound like a lot if you're a writer. Like if you're a writer,
right.
It's like, and the goal. So for NaNoWriMo, it's 50,000, but my goal is actually 60,000 because that's more marketable for novels.
Oh, okay.
So my goal was 60,000, and I have no excuses, because all my kids are bigger, older. They're in school full time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is that? So you're about to. What time do you wake up now that you're in this month?
Okay, so I wake up.
What does that look like? Getting prepared and.
Right. So my goal has been to write from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day.
Okay.
While my kids are gone.
Okay.
So I wake up with my kids. 6:15 in the morning. Get them ready. I mean, they get ready on their own, but make sure that they all have brushed their teeth and are wearing
boys.
Human clothes,
yeah.
Not pajamas or whatever. So my daughter is almost 8 and she's kind of like a raccoon. So just making sure that she's brushed her hair and is can go in public. And then I go to the gym, get my breakfast in. My husband goes to work somewhere in that time frame. Mm-hmm. And then typically I'll have my cup of coffee and play with my dog and do whatever social media stuff I need to do. And then I try to start writing right at 9.
Right.
So, and then I only write for 25 minutes. Take a 5-minute break. I'll make another cup of coffee or whatever.
Right.
And go right back to writing.
Why 25 minutes?
That's just what works for me.
Oh, okay.
I know. So I have the whole thing outlined. Like I said, I have my points that I want to hit on. So
right.
I'm writing month by month, and then kind of developing from July. So 3 months before I was diagnosed, and developing the characters and that sort of thing along the way.
Right.
And then I just find that that's what it takes for me to do a section of a chapter is about 25 minutes.
Right. Okay. What happens when? And so I'm not a writer.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you, although it seems pretty cool and it's something that I feel like almost every human being has thought about writing a book.
I think so too.
Yeah. Because I definitely have. I
think it's really romanticized.
Yeah.
Too. It's lonely. I'm only 5 days in, but last Friday, I guess, like, you're like, all right, I need to put on pants with a zipper and go make eye contact with somebody.
That's so funny.
And so it's, but it can be lonely, and I'm not really an introvert, you know? And
right.
So that's things to focus on.
What happens, and this was the question I was gonna ask, but I went off into, I feel like every human being wanted to write a book. What happens when you hit, because I've seen this in the movies, and now I just kind of want your look into it. What happens when you hit a block, like a writer's block? What do you do?
Well, for me, I went and got a job at Seed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So go get a job.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Because I really did. You know, we moved here, and I was like, oh, I'm going to finish my book. And I was like, no, I'm not. And so...
Well, at least you worked at a business place, so it's going to teach you how to, like...
Yeah. So, and, you know, we had just come here, and I didn't know anybody, and I was like, oh, I need a way to meet people and get involved in the community, and I could not have landed at a better place.
Right.
So, but for a lot of people, fortunately, I haven't hit writer's block, but I really feel like I was prepped for this season. Like, I was itching to write way before November 1st. Right. So it's just spilling out of me at this point.
Right.
But I think a lot of people, there's different things that different people do, you know.
Yeah.
The 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off seems to be a standard practice for people. Just in the writers groups that I'm in and stuff. And when people start saying, you know, oh, I'm having writer's block, or I'm staring at this blank page, I don't really know how to move forward. The advice from people who've been there is like, are you taking enough breaks? Because you're going to get writer's fatigue. And so... And
then will you feel like you're forcing something that shouldn't be on the paper?
Yeah. And so actually another thing that they say is to take a break from your work in progress. Take a break from that and go either to like Pinterest or online groups or whatever, and find a writer's prompt and write something completely unrelated to what you're doing. Oh. So, and they're all
like a jump
over.
start.
Yeah. And they're all over, you know, social media, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook.
Oh, interesting.
That people post like a writer's prompt, and it can be something really basic, but they'll just take that and run with it. And so it's like it is just like a jump start, you know, and then and it might grow into become a part of your work in progress,
right?
You know, or it might like stir up something that, oh, we could add this in, or whatever you need to do. So has it interesting? Yeah.
Has anything happened by accident? Like, has anything just in your world happened by accident? You're like, oh, that would be great in the book.
Like in real life.
Like in real life.
Not yet.
Okay. It's going to happen today.
Yeah, I know. I mean, one thing that's really weird with writing fiction, and I kind of thought it was a load when I was reading about it in all these writers groups that I'm in. They were like, oh, let your story tell you what to write. Let your characters grow themselves. Let, you know, all this stuff. And I was like, that kind of sounds like humbly dumbly to me.
Woo-woo.
But it was really weird because even my second day writing, I knew kind of where I wanted some characters to go. But then as I was writing, like a character showed up in this, and like named themselves, and it was a combination of like 3 characters that I had plotted, but they turned into one person, and it was like, oh, cool. You know, and so I was writing, I was like, this is what they're talking about, you know, and it's like the characters name themselves, and I was like, that's freaky. But I'm a dream interpreter, so I'm open to freaky things.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, are like weird.
We will be jumping on that too.
So
who's your favorite author? I know you probably don't have a favorite, but like, who's the one that?
Like as far fiction or nonfiction?
We'll do fiction then nonfiction.
Okay, so fiction. I really like Kristen Hanna. I've just started reading some of her novels.
I know her.
You do?
No.
Like, I was like, what?
I feel like I went to high school with a Kristen Hannon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hannon?
Hannah. Yeah. So she's written several novels, but I really like her writing style. And it's interesting, one of the stories that I'm reading one of her books right now, and I can relate to it as like one of her characters is a photojournalist. I was a photojournalist for 16 years. So I don't go looking for photojournalism books,
right.
but I seem to find them.
Yeah.
And so but it's kind of cool. I couldn't put it down last night. And that's another thing with writing, like to read just as much as you write. It helps.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least for me, and
right.
I don't think I'm alone.
Yeah.
So.
Is it just you kind of hear how other people write things or different experiences or how their character comes in and...
Yeah. For me, it helps with telling the story. It all comes back to storytelling to me.
Right.
And the craft. And so, and then it helps me with grammar too. Like, I tend to second guess my grammar because I'm not an English. I mean, I do like have media background, but you know, I'm not like definitely not a literature grammar teacher.
Are you going to have someone like look over it?
Yeah. So I actually already have 6 beta readers, which are
cool. That's a thing?
Yeah, it's really cool. And in these groups, you can go, hey, I'm going to need a beta reader. Here's what I'm doing. And they're like, I'll do it. What's your story about?
Are some people scared that, like, I would never do that because they're going to take my idea and blah, blah, blah? Have you ever?
Yeah. So apparently, which I haven't done this yet, but over the last 2 years, like, I've learned to take criticism a lot better. Like, I got criticized in my position at Seed a lot, like, publicly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So and not from anybody that really mattered, but...
I was like, I've never heard it.
Yeah. So, well, that's good. But
now I'm going to research. No.
But, like, new girl comes to town, drags all these food trucks downtown. You know, there was some stuff that I had to deal with. One of the greatest
things that's happened.
Right, which was phenomenal. It was a really cool experience.
That's where we got Fowler's.
Absolutely. And so, I love Fowler's. And
he was on the podcast.
Oh, was he?
Mm-hmm.
I love them. So, but the last 2 years, I've learned to take some criticism. Yeah. And just keep moving forward. Yeah. Like, I mean, Susie Roboski, she will tell you, she's an awesome cheerleader to her staff, and but she's hardcore, and she, you know, I was just getting hammered one day about an event that I did, left and right, phone ringing off the hook, all kinds of stuff. Oh, we didn't like this, we didn't like that, and she pulled me into her office, and she was like, at the end of the day, did you raise the money for the program? Yeah. Okay. Were people happy? Yeah. Are you happy with how it went? Yeah. Is your boss happy? Who is her? And I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And she's like, all right, keep moving forward. Yeah. Like, you have to have some thick skin. In any time you take a risk, you have to have a little bit of thick skin. And so, so what I keep hearing is to write like everyone's going to love what you write. And that opens you up to just write everything. Right. And then edit with really thick skin. Like, be okay if half your book gets chopped and they're like, cut this whole chapter out. Right. Or, you know, this entire storyline.
Do you know of a author who's never, has just opened their self up and just published that?
No.
I wonder if that's a thing.
So I don't.
Because I almost feel
like... It probably is a thing, especially with self-publishing and indie writers. But... I mean, in my opinion, that it would be kind of ignorant to do that, because when you're writing, you skip over so many words, like, especially if you're in the flow. So no matter how many times you try to reread it, you're going to reread it and not know. I mean,
that makes sense, because I can't do a post without giving it to the wife and like approving and no, that makes sense.
Well, like I just did a post on Instagram the other day, and I meant to write white wine, and I wrote wine, you know. And
what was on your mind? Wine. Actually. ! Wine.
Yeah. holiday fair.
Yeah.
And so I was like, so I went to write white wine, and I reread it like 4 times before I posted it. And my friend Jenny Bell, she's Go Fayetteville.
Yeah.
And she was like, wine, is that like a double shot or something? I was like, this is why you need an editor, you know.
Right.
But I have I have beta readers, and they're people who will read your book and be like, I like the genre, so I'm going to read that book.
Is that like a volunteer thing?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And it's kind of to be able to be like, I'm the first one who ever read that book, you know. And so, but and people are interested in my story, you know. So that's cool. Like I put on one of these groups, I put what I was doing, and I was like, I'm going to start looking for beta readers. And it was like, boop, 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 boop. And people were like, absolutely, can't wait to read all of your books. Please tell me you're doing more than that one. You know,
dang.
all
cool.
this. So it was really encouraging. And then you have an editor, at least one editor that's like, will edit for what you need to be publishable. Yeah.
So is it a Facebook group that you say, hey, I need a beta? Mm-hmm. Or can anybody be not saying I'll go in there, but can anybody go in there and be a beta reader?
Yeah.
Or do you have to like do X amount?
The groups that I'm in 3 that are really big, like over 60,000 people in these groups.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And but there are groups like one's called Writers Helping Writers. And people post in there like, hey, here are the 4 options for my book covers. What do you guys think? Please vote.
Gotcha.
And then people, not only will they
That's great marketing too, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is. And not only will people vote on like your book cover, but people will chime in and be like, hey, I make a 6-figure living doing as an author, and I'm going to tell you right now that option number B is not going to be marketable. You know, because of your font or whatever it is. Whoa. And so I've learned so much just in being there for the last year. Right. And then there's a couple other groups that are just as NaNoWriMo. I mean, that's an international group, so it's a little tricky because international writing is a little different from, you know, writing to a certain audience.
Yeah. So crazy how deep. Because I just know the surface. The very, very, like... super surface. And it's cool to hear you say just how in depth this stuff gets. You know?
I mean, so much thought goes into this.
Yeah,
thought goes into what picture he put on here.
So I know I like that. Like like when you said pick 1 out of 4, I was like, that's great marketing. Like I understand that, and then and it kind of rolls me into what I want to ask is, have you thought about what your cover will look like?
So I haven't. I actually don't even have a title yet. I think I have a title.
We can't say it. We can.
No.
We can.
No, because I really don't. Like, I don't love it. And that's why I'm not sold on it yet. Gotcha. But typically, they say that your book will tell you what its title is.
So what if you picked what you fell in love with, and then that person said, that 100,000 or 6-figure person says, "Hey, that's not marketable title." What do you do then?
I would listen.
Yeah. So then you change the title you fell in love with. Yeah.
Okay. Unless it's something like I mean, it all goes back to dreams. Oh yeah. For me, if I have a dream tomorrow night and I'm sitting having coffee with someone who's important to me, and they're like, the title of your book is this, I will put that. It will be the title on my book. Or if I'm holding my book and I'm at a conference and I'm holding my book and I'm speaking on dream interpretation or the power of hope or whatever, and I look at my book and it has the title on it, that's going to be the title of my book. Yeah. And I mean, it might sound a little goofy, but that's how much I honor that.
Do you? Yeah, no doubt. Do you find where like there's some dreams where you're swinging that book and you're trying to pay attention, you're trying to read the book? Yeah. Like, oh, just keep it still for a second.
Yeah, I probably have had that happen before. I had a dream that I was speaking at a conference one time, and I was really trying to see what conference I was at.
Right,
because I wasn't sure. Like, it was my turn to go on stage.
Yeah.
And because, like, I like to speak about resiliency, and, you know, I was in direct sales for a while, so I would speak on direct sales training and sales.
Yeah.
And I have my degree in counseling. Like, I'm a pastor. And so not knowing what stage I'm going on, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going up here to do a sales, you know, and marketing training, or am I supposed to go talk about Jesus? Like, I don't know. And so
I feel like you could roll both of those in somehow.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting for me in just telling you that dream was the guy who was announcing me, like, came off stage, and he, like, looked at me like, hey, are you ready to go? It's your turn. And I go, I don't know why I'm here. And he goes, and he was like, what? And I go, I don't know what do these people want from me? And he goes, well, all anybody wants is to be healed. And I was like, all right, you know. And so for me, and because that's what my book's about, you know, hope and healing, and all of the, and, you know, that one book of that one chapter of my life 20 years ago that has been a forever theme through my life. Yeah. So, you know.
Have you ever, because you are deep into dreams, right, and interpretation of them, have you ever been in a dream and you know it's telling you something, but you feel like you're about to wake up, and you're like, no, stay right, stay in this. Crap, and then you wake up.
No, but that's really common. Like, yeah. So I have people tell me all the time, like, how can I dream longer, you know, or remember more of my dream, you know, and but that is really common, where people are like, no, wait, like, I need, you know, I haven't had that before. I've had a dream where I was like, this is a dream. Yes. You know? Yeah. And then I actually had a dream about a dream a couple weeks ago, and I was like, wow, I'm getting real deep into this, like, dream interpretation stuff.
When do you find yourself saying that, yeah, this is a dream? I mean, I found, and the reason why I go there is because, like, for me, you know, if it back in the day, and I was just talking to the wife about this, I've not had a nightmare forever.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, but when I did, I was like, I would convince myself, like, no, this is a dream. Like, I'm not going to. This is all fake.
This is all fake.
When do you find yourself telling yourself that? Or does it just pop up?
It just pops up. Yeah. I had a dream about a friend of mine one night. And then the next night, I had a dream about him. But in my dream, I was telling him about the dream I had about him the night before. Isn't that weird? Yeah. That never happened before. Yeah. So then he came over last night, and I was telling him about it, and he was like, whoa, that's weird. You know? And all we were moving concrete blocks in the dream. That's all. Like, that's all.
Is he helping you write the book at all?
Like, no. I mean,
is he helping you building anything in your life?
Well,
I'm interpreting your dream right now.
Yeah, you're interpreting. No, but I mean, we've done some really hard things together. You know, he's been a friend of me and my husband, him and his wife, for 10 years, and they've deployed together twice. And, right. You know, so it's like we moved a couple of times with them. So. Right. And he always helps us move. Yeah. You know, he's always moving our furniture, like literally moving our furniture.
Makes complete sense.
He has a truck. Yeah. So that's the only reason we're friends.
Of course. Just kidding. Of course.
So, but yeah. So, but I had never had that happen before, where I was talking about a dream. But I have had a dream. So I have mentors as far as dream interpretation goes that I'll refer to on different stuff. And, like, I've had a dream before where I was like, okay, remember this dream because you need to ask Paul about it, you know? Right. So instead of trying to interpret that dream for myself, which was how I got into it, I just sent it to him. And I was like, hey, you know, I had this dream. I think I know what it means, but I'm not sure. and he came back with something that was completely different from what I had, but was totally accurate.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Do you know Kelsey Timmis here in the area?
Okay, does she own a yoga?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
we've met once.
You guys got to sit and talk.
Okay, you're like the third person to tell
really?
me that. So I think,
first time has to be on this podcast, and I'm going to sit over there and just listen to you guys go back and forth.
Cool.
That's going to go deep.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really good podcast.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So, yeah. Well, like, it's kind of funny because I don't wear a shirt that says a dream interpreter,
right.
Tell me your dreams.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really walk around advertising it. It is on my website. But I start posting a little bit more about dreams on my personal Instagram, and I'll get 6 to 10 a week that people send to me, and you know, I have a whole form that people can fill out and send in. But I've been doing this since 2012, 2011. So, I started researching it in 2011 and started kind of doing it for other people in 2012.
What's the biggest thing you learned while you're doing this? Like, what is dreams telling us? What's the biggest thing you've taken out of dreams?
So the biggest thing that I've learned is that dreams aren't all a hogwash and too many pepperonis on your pizza the night before. The biggest thing I've learned is that they mean something.
Right.
They don't always mean something, you know. Sometimes you have some residue from the day that, you know, just comes out in a dream.
Yes.
But to always listen to them, no matter how silly and stupid they might seem. I had a dream one time that I had on a necklace that was like very special to me, and it wasn't a real necklace. It was a necklace that I made up in this dream. Right. Like I'd never seen the necklace before. Right. But it was really special and like super important to me.
Yeah.
And then I went somewhere and it broke and it fell off. And I was like devastated that this necklace broke. And then when I looked at it, because I couldn't see it, like around
you just
my
knew
neck,
it felt great.
Yeah, like I just knew that it was important.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it, it was a piece of cheap plastic. And I was like, oh, that's weird. You know? And so when I woke up, I was like, well, that's a weird dream. You know? But probably something stupid. You know, maybe my daughter had a cheap plastic necklace on or something like that. But when I dug into it a little bit deeper, I realized it was like about identity and like who I had made myself to be, like it was actually in my career. Like I was defined as who I was in my position.
Right.
And how important that was and all this stuff. And then, because I was a photojournalist for the Army. And so it's like, not everybody gets to say that, you know, you have a lot of visibility wherever you are, and people, you know, after a certain amount of time, people start to know who you are, and that's how I defined myself, was I'm by my job. Right. And I had left that job, and this was like 6 months later that I had the dream. And I realized, like, I'd been carrying around this identity as a photojournalist, like, and feeling like I was nothing without photojournalism, you know? And, oh, maybe I shouldn't have left that job. But it was like, no, that's not, my identity isn't in a job that I have, or the people that I hang out with, or the clothes that I wear, the car that I drive. Like, my identity is who I am in here. Everything that makes me who I am. Yeah. You know, so... It was interesting. It was really therapeutic for me.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it sounds like a defining dream.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that has been the biggest thing that I've seen with this, and that's part of why, like, I don't charge for dream interpretation. If anybody that reaches out to me, I'll help them. Right. And it's interesting, you know, social media is such an incredible platform. Yeah. Because, like... My biggest email, like the biggest amount of outreach that I get is from guys between the ages of 18 and 24. And which is not like the biggest demographic on Instagram.
I would have not, right. And I would have not even guessed.
No. And and you wouldn't guess that those are the people going to get their dreams interpreted, right? Like people have a tendency to put dream interpretation in the same box as like psychic readings or things kind of new age. And
what are you seeing like the top 3 things that come from that demographic?
Well, the demographic, so not even just that demographic, but across the board, I get asked the most about teeth falling out. Like if you've ever had a dream that you're talking and your teeth are just falling out of your mouth.
No.
Or that you broke a tooth.
Yeah.
Or something,
Wow. What's that really about? Common.
So usually, like, it can mean several different things, and I always hate to generalize because I like to hear the entire dream because it might mean something else. But generally speaking, teeth falling out can mean one of 2 things. Either you have said something in your waking hours that you regret, and you can't put words back in your mouth once they've come out, or you've bitten off more than you can chew. Like you're working on a project that's maybe bigger than you can handle, or I've had a couple, relationship-wise, like you've bitten off more than you can chew right now. Like that
sounds about right. 18 to 24.
yeah. So, so that's a big one, and then probably usually about driving, car crashes. That's another big one that I get. Driving anywhere, any kind of transportation, and that's very those are very common dreams too.
Right.
And then water.
Drowning.
Drowning or spilling water, or not being able to put water back where it's supposed to go, or like sinks overflowing, or different things like that.
What's the deal with water?
So water almost across the board represents emotions. So if you're, like, I actually had a reoccurring dream that I was driving, and driving is your life journey and like in control of where you're going, So if I have a dream that I'm driving, then I am in control of my life and my future journey and my path. I've had dreams where my mom is driving, so that we work together on writing and stuff. My mom is the one driving, or my husband is driving, making decisions. He's in the military. So if it's making decisions, he's driving,
Right.
And so anyway, I had a reoccurring dream. I have 2 boys that are real close in age, and they're both babies at the same time, Right. And we're in like car seats that I had to get them out of. And in this dream, I drove off a bridge into a river, and I had to choose which one to get out.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, and it was a reoccurring dream over and over and over from the time that my second son was born until I got into dream interpretation.
Why did you have to choose?
So I think that it was my emotions trying to figure out how to find balance as a mommy and taking care of 2 little boys that were very demanding. And they're really well behaved. Even as babies, they were so well, they're so well behaved. But that's a lot of pressure.
Sure.
I didn't know that I would ever have children, and ended up with my one baby. And doctors were, because of my cancer, doctors were like, "Go enjoy your one baby. We don't know how that happened. Have fun."
Right.
And 4 months later, I found out I was pregnant again with my second son.
Yeah.
And so to go from a career woman, no kids on the spectrum, on the plan,
right,
to 2 babies, marrying a soldier, moving cross country, so I think it was me, like so many emotions that motherhood stirred up.
Yeah.
And so that's the water. Rushing a river is rushing water. Then motherhood, parenthood is a rush of emotions that you did not even know was under the surface.
Right.
And in picking, choosing between my kids, it was really funny because, or not funny, haha, but looking back, I would always tell my older one to swim for the shore. I would always pick my younger one, and I would always tell my older one swim for the shore, swim as hard as you can,
right.
And I'm talking, he was like 18 months old, and I'm like, swim for the shore, And he's like, I don't know English, you know. But,
yeah.
But
It's like,
yeah. And so, but when I started dream interpretation, 2012, he would have been 5. So I realized that as a mom and as a military spouse, my husband had been gone over 50% of his life. And so much of his emotional needs, I was like, you know what, just cope with it because I've got a baby to take care of right now, you know? And so little man was trying to be brave and be all these things, you know, while dad's in Iraq and Afghanistan and mom's a psychopath or whatever. Not really. But, you know, I was taking care of him in all the capacities that moms do, but I wasn't babying him anymore because I had another baby, you know? But when you look at how tiny he was still, you know, and then he still needed that mothering. And so I shifted big time. When I learned that, it was like life-changing, eye-opening to me.
Yeah.
And it totally transformed how I mother.
Right.
And thankfully, he's almost 13 now.
Yeah.
And he's like one of the bravest, most resilient kids that I guess I'm biased, but...
Right.
But I think in learning that, it taught me how to parent well and just helped me in mothering him better. Yeah. You know, so.
So for not only your own dreams, but for other people who reach out to you, do you just interpret I don't mean just like that's all you do.
No.
To interpret their dream, and then do you give them action steps afterwards?
I do.
Yeah. Instead of saying like this is probably what this is.
Yeah.
And then go to someone else or
no.
Like have that.
No, I try not to leave anybody hanging. Hanging like that because if it's not about encouragement, then what's it about? You know, like my whole countenance, everything about me, everything that I want anybody that's ever met me. When they leave my presence, I want them to feel encouraged in some capacity.
Right.
So even if somebody comes to me and their dream is like, I've heard some weird dreams, you know.
Oh, we'll go there.
And yeah. And but I feel like all dreams in some capacity, even if they're a warning dream, are encouraging. So I can talk to, you know, say one of these 18 to 24-year-old guys. I can hear a dream and see, like, that is, you know, all the symbols in that, all the different pieces of the story are saying to break up with that girl. You know, even and I'll have, because I write, it's all written. I don't do anything over the phone.
Right.
Because so much more comes out when people write their dreams. Keywords and symbols and those sort of things. So I'll write to them and go, do you know me? And, you know, they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, I don't know you either. I don't know anything about you. I don't know where you live. I don't know anything. But I will tell you that I think that this is a warning dream, that you need to make some decisions about a relationship that you're in. Does that make sense? And they'll write me back, yes, oh my gosh, you know, or well, maybe a little bit, you know. And so, but I can still encourage them and go, I would like to encourage you to just be really eyes wide open in moving forward in a relationship. I feel like it's a specific relationship or something like that. And then it's still encouraging.
Right.
So, and then I'll have people tell me dreams that I'm like, I feel, you know, in hearing your dream, and I've had people tell me dreams that I'll know that they've been through a really hard thing, you know, maybe an affair or abuse of some sort or something like that. And it's all confidential. I do have my degree in counseling, so I try to treat this as a counseling type thing. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. But I do have a pastor's heart. And so confidentiality is really important to me. Right. And so when they tell me, I'll go, I don't know if this is accurate, and I don't, you know, I don't want to stir anything up unnecessarily, but you might want to seek counsel about, you know, something that you've been through in your past. Or even if, like, it's been a few years ago now, but I had somebody tell me about a dream, and I knew instantly that they were having an affair. Like, I knew instantly. Like, it was like, they might as well have written it out.
Yeah.
And so, but it's not my job to judge.
Yeah.
And so I said, I would encourage you to be the very best spouse that you can be. And I think that this is a dream that is warning you about decisions that you're making as a spouse.
Yeah.
And that you are capable and able to make better decisions for your marriage. And they were like, holy moly. You know?
Okay, I didn't know it was bad, but now I do.
Yeah, yeah. And so it can get sticky.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people, like, I have repeat people that will come to, send me messages, hey, I had another dream or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like to be able to help somebody and then give them advice or whatever they need. Encouragement, really. Not even advice, just encouragement, and then they go on their way.
Yeah. Have you ever had anyone that you were like, yep, I think this is the last time we'll talk? Like, has there been, like, whoa. Either super dark.
Yeah.
Or, like,
yeah.
I can't touch this one.
Yeah, I have. So when I was a photojournalist, I actually had a lot of soldiers would tell me their dreams.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And word kind of spreads. That
do what?
Word kind of spreads.
Word kind of spreads, yeah.
That you do that. And so I was part of my job was DA photos, so promotional photos.
Right.
And I cannot tell you how many guys would come in to take their promotional photo, and they'll be like, hey, so I heard you do, like, dreams, too.
Yeah.
Do you do that? Because I had this weird dream. And for me, just I think it was in part because I am a spouse, too.
Right.
You just hear some of the things that are kind of hard to hear. But it's important. I haven't ever had anybody tell me a dream that was so bad that I was like, I never want to talk to you again. But I have had people tell me a dream that maybe showed me a part of them that they hadn't shown to anybody before.
Yeah.
And, like, opened up Pandora's box a little bit.
Right.
And then they'll disappear. And then they'll pop back up, like, social media or
just
whatever.
Just need to get it off their chest. Like, can't talk to anyone.
Yeah. And, yeah, I had several guys that were like, it's really nice to talk to somebody who's not holding a clipboard,
Right.
And I'm not talking to anyone's commander. I'm not, I'm
right.
not telling it. I really do take confidentiality. Is so important. Even there's a part on my dream form that people fill out that's like, can I use your dream as an example? Because I hope to write a book about dream. I mean, all of my stories come back to dreams. Even this novel that I'm working on right now.
Was I on a dream? Was I in one of your dreams?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. About the podcast or now?
No.
This is how it's gonna go.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think so. No, well, it's funny because I do have dreams about people all the time. I'll be like, hey, I had this dream about you. And they're like, oh, what's it mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, I don't know.
It's kind of I was throwing the curveball to see what does it mean,
So I dreamed the theme for Dancing with the Stars this year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that it was Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
Yeah, like, and it was Wizard of Oz.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but, no, I haven't had any dreams about podcasts.
Yeah. You will tonight.
I know.
So oh man, where's it going to go with that? Because you're going to be writing a book, more than likely, down the road with some of the examples.
Yeah. Oh, right. So, even if they check yes, which they almost always do, I wouldn't tell their name or any defining characteristics.
And you could totally, it's your book. Do it, your thing.
Right.
What if, like, and maybe there's already a book that does this, I don't know. But, like, when you write this book, in their activities, right? So, because, like, some of the questions I want to know is, like, now I'm probably going to be paying attention a lot more. I don't even remember, dude, it's probably been years since I remember a dream.
Really?
Like, yeah, I just.
Do you wake up really early, though, don't
4:30.
you? Yeah, you set your alarm.
Mm-hmm.
So, That's one thing that I tell people is to let yourself sleep. Like maybe one day a month.
No,
Just
it's grind time, baby.
Sleep.
Go, go, go,
yeah.
go, go.
So, and when you live in that,
yeah,
it's constant.
Yeah.
That you're never releasing your subconscious to tell you some things that maybe you need to know. You know?
Yeah.
We all need sleep.
Yeah.
So, and then with a new baby.
Oh, I know.
I'm sure your sleep is a little interrupted.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't dream if you're not sleeping.
No doubt.
So I tell people that they're like,
yeah.
I don't remember any of my dreams. And I'm like, you never sleep.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think it's because I'm not, for me personally, it's because I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, when I quote unquote make it or I'm there, then maybe, you know, but like right now, I feel like, man, tomorrow's not promised. Like, you gotta go, man. Like, if you want to make this happen, you gotta make it happen.
Well, so the other side that I do is, because I can have a dream, I can go to sleep and sleep for 20 minutes and have a dream that is like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I actually dreamed another novel series that I want to do in like a 20-minute dream.
Right.
And so another thing that I'll tell people is, and it depends on your spiritual life, like what your beliefs are, your faith, and that sort of thing. And for me, I am a Christian, and so, but even people who aren't Christians or whatever their belief is, to just invite a spirit, you know, tell me the truth, you know, because I think that
before you go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that I'm listening, and I want to know whatever you have to tell me about the day, right? You know, or if there's any message that I need to have, just I'm open. I have an open heart.
Do you have something like that you read before you go to bed to magnify your dreams?
No, I don't have anything that I read. Like, I don't have any kind of like memorized prayers or anything like that.
Or something like that.
I just, if I want to dream, like, because I've gone through seasons, even as a dream interpreter, where I've gone months and months without dreaming. And
do you think you're not dreaming, or do you think you just don't remember your dream?
No, I'm just not remembering. Right. Because we all dream.
Right.
You know, and so, but I'll have, like, I went through a really rough time this summer, and I wasn't remembering any of my dreams. Yeah. And so I was just kind of feeling like, you know, is this all real or whatever? And then I realized that I had just kind of gotten away from that habit of right before I go to sleep going, you know, Spirit of Truth, any message that you want to tell me tonight. Like, I'm listening and I'm willing to hear it. Mm. And even if you aren't willing to hear it, like I've had and I got into dream interpretation because I was plagued by night terrors and nightmares for years and years.
Really?
Yeah, that's how I got into dream interpretation. And but I have friends who are like, I don't want to dream. I don't even want to sleep because I don't dream. I only have nightmares. Mm. You know, but once you've learned about dream interpretation, or you find somebody that's willing to, you know, hear your nightmares. Like I have several people that I'm like, I'm not afraid of your nightmares. Like, you can't tell me anything that's going to make me run away from you or change my opinion about you, or impact if I can help you or not. Right. Even if I can't interpret your dream, I can maybe encourage you a little bit. Right. You know? And so then that opens them up to hear more, you know? And some people are just plagued by, you know, the negative side of things more than positive side. Yeah. So, but even nightmares are telling us stuff. Yeah. You know? And
that kind of goes along with a lot of things in life where you don't understand it, or it's just unfamiliar to you, so you automatically think of the negative. Like that you can see in almost every area of life. Sure. I remember, and this is kind of off task, almost kind of on task. I remember my first daughter. Now I say that's weird. So my first daughter, she used to love playing with bugs, but she had friends who didn't. And I was like,
I have one of those daughters.
Yeah, but I was like, my guess at that time was that the only reason why they're not playing with a roly-poly is because they're misunderstood. They don't understand it. They don't have enough information about it. Mm-hmm. It's not going to bite you. Like, literally the softest, like, quietest creature ever. Right. And it's just that, and it hit me, I guess, in that moment, like, oh man, if someone doesn't understand or doesn't have enough information about something, we automatically fear it. Right.
You automatically fear what you don't understand. Yeah. Or what you don't know.
Why?
That's funny about bugs. So this is a little off too. But my daughter, so she started talking really early, like stupid early. So we got access to her brain like way before you should ever know what people are thinking, right? Like she was like 9 months old, 6 months old. Really? Talking full sentences before she was 1.
The game is on. Yeah. We got a 2-month-old.
Okay. So she was like a year and a half, 2 years maybe. And she was outside playing. I was outside with her. I was reading a book and she was just like drawing with sidewalk chalk. And she goes, a bee. And there was a bee like flying around her. And so I got up to like move her. And she goes, no, Mom, I'm just going to pretend it's a butterfly. And then it will leave me alone. Mm. And I was like, what if we all faced our fears that way? No, you know what? I'm just going to pretend this is a butterfly. Yeah. It can't bother me. You know? And she went about playing and the bee left.
How many times do people, like us as adults, are like, no, stay quiet, or sit down, or stay in that line, or, stay structured. How much could our kids teach us if we weren't like all the time with this press of just stay in this mold? Like,
isn't that the whole challenge of parenthood, to like raise them to be feasible adults?
Yeah.
But not squish their spirits. Right. Like, I tell my kids all the time, our goal, me and your dad's goal, is to raise you to be a good human. Mm-hmm. And I was like, anything outside of that is gravy. Yep. Like, yes, I hope you all go to incredible colleges and become cardiologists. Yeah. And,
right.
like, yeah. But at the end of the day, like, have we raised you to be a good human being? Like,
yeah, no doubt.
And they're at the age right now where it's like, we're literally raising them to be humans. Like, humans brush their teeth.
That kind of human.
Humans wear clothes in public, Yeah. And so it's the basics. But with just bringing it into dreams, like, we use dreams in our parenting, and my kids, it's really cool now that I know some of this stuff, because they'll tell me their dreams and it'll give me insight to them that they maybe won't. My oldest, like I said, he's almost 13.
Yes.
We've moved 11 times in his life. We've only been here for 2 years. Our last 2 duty stations, we averaged about 14 months at those duty stations.
You guys can be here for a little bit longer?
Gotcha. My husband's retiring here. We're staying here. We bought a house. And cool. And we've told him that repeatedly, like, we're not going anywhere, we're staying here, Yeah. But we hit that 2-year mark, and he started getting a little nervous, and like, he's stopped inviting some of his friends over, and I started to wonder if he's like distancing himself
for preparation
because he's thinking that we're gonna move. Yeah. So I've asked him a couple times, and he's like, "Oh no, I know we're not gonna. I know, it's fine."
But subconsciously. Yeah,
but then a couple days ago, he goes, "Man, so I had a dream last night that you and Dad told me that we were moving again." And I was like, "Yeah, I think you've been worried about that." And he was like, "Well, I don't think so." And I was like, "Well, you've done this and this." And he was like, "Well, we have been here 2 years. And the last 2 places we went, you said we were never moving to." And it was like, so it gave my husband and I an opportunity to sit down with him and go, "Look, dude, like,
for
this
reals
is it. Like, we're for reals, like, not going anywhere. Like, we couldn't even go anywhere if we wanted to, And he was like, "Really?" And, and he's a sweet kid, and he got kind of choked up, and he was like,
"That's so cool.
Well, do you think I could, like, paint my room?" Wow. And it's like, and he's never told us that he wanted to paint his room, And so it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah, like, I guess it's the little things like that you don't think about. If you're moving every 2 years, I mean,
Right.
You're not painting your room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like little stuff like that.
It really is. You know, it took us being here for almost a year before I bought plants.
Right.
And then the day I was at Walmart and it was like, oh, and I was like, oh my God, I can buy plants.
Yeah.
You know, because I used to have all these plants. I love plants. And
yeah.
But it's hard when you take care of a plant and then they don't let you move with them.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So you gotta give it all away.
Yeah, because the plant's grounded.
Yep. So, but it is interesting in the, dreams just tell us so much. And my husband, he's a realist and, very logical, very methodical, we do these things, grind and grind, and, but now he's been putting up with me for a really long time. And so with the whole dream thing, he saw a transformation in me, in learning about it, that I don't have nightmares anymore. And even if I do have nightmares, I address them instead of...
In the dream?
No, when
right.
I wake up. I had a reoccurring nightmare shortly after we moved here. And it was just fear-based. And with his unit and his new job and some of the stuff that he's doing and even, because I'm a military spouse and we're at 19 years and, I'm pretty seasoned at this point. And,
right.
He's done several tours and it's just this constant dialogue that I think, seasoned military spouses are like, oh, I'm not afraid. I'm resilient. I can handle this. I can do that. No problem. Da, 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 da. And then when I was having this reoccurring dream, it opened up a conversation between me and him where I was like, hey, look, man, at our last duty station, you say you were retiring.
Yeah. You're
never deploying again. You're doing all this stuff. And now here, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, so I really am staying here. I really am doing this. I'm totally fine. You know, but it allowed me to be a little bit more vulnerable.
Right.
And, and also realize that I did have some issues with moving here.
Yeah.
As much as I said, wherever you go, babe, I'll follow you. Where you lead, I follow,
Yeah.
That kind of dialogue that we get.
Yeah, no, and I think, honestly, for the spouses who are listening to what you just said, I feel like you're going to connect with a lot of people.
Cool. Bring it.
Yeah, bring it. With what kind of activities would you have in that book? So for me, not saying you'd put activities in there.
No, that's actually already part of the plan.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Because then I want to roll into okay, so, and I've heard this before. As soon as you wake up, write down your dreams.
Yes.
Yep. Like those type of activities. What other activities would?
So the biggest
help?
Ones that I tell people are the having an open heart when you go to bed. You
right.
know?
Yeah.
And so I'm doing that. And then as soon as you wake up, I don't write it down. I don't write it down. If you have a smartphone, do a talk to text or a voice memo and tell the story of your dream.
Right.
And so one of the hardest things for people that I find when they're wanting to get their dream interpreted is they're always I constantly have to be like, it doesn't have to make sense.
Right.
Yeah,
because they'll edit. And,
yeah. Don't edit it.
Yeah.
Don't try to make it make sense. You don't have to stop every 2 sentences and go, and then this happened, but that didn't make sense. That doesn't matter.
Right.
It's, whatever you're doing it.
Yeah,
it's
you're
fine.
We fly in our dreams. So it doesn't, none of this has to make sense, right? It's your dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important to have all the information too. So I try to tell people, remember colors, try to remember colors, numbers, the lighting, how you felt emotionally in the dream. Mm-hmm. All of those things are really important to getting an accurate interpretation of it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how much time you have, but one of the things that that I love with dreams is keywords and symbols. All dreams are keywords and symbols. And so The mind is a really incredible thing. So when you dream about a celebrity, it can mean that you like admire that celebrity, or they have some features that you want, or there are things about them that you like. So, and I'm going somewhere with this. So this summer I had a dream about Neil Armstrong and Justin Timberlake. Okay. And those are both famous people who I admire.
Yeah.
So when I went to interpret it, I looked up astronaut and showman,
Okay.
And that did not make any sense.
Yeah.
And
right.
so I was like, and there were other parts of the dream, we had like a Super Bowl party, and it was like they were my cousins or something. Like Justin Timberlake was my cousin.
Of course.
And Neil Armstrong was like our grandpa, and he was cooking in this kitchen. And
what was he cooking?
He was chopping up fruits and vegetables.
Oh, good.
And
I like him.
and he was like talking to, and I could draw you right now a picture of what that open concept house looked like exactly what it looked like, what the furniture looked like, what Justin was doing, like football game going, and people had just left, like the party was over, like people were left, we're kind of cleaning up, and Grandpa Neil Armstrong is making, fruit smoothies or something, chopping whatever, green pepper specifically, and watermelon, which I don't like either one of those. So
he might be my grandpa. I like them both.
I know. So, but when I was doing this dream, I was like, the showman and the astronaut did not fit together. But in keywords, the words arm, strong, and timber, lake.
There's that water again.
Yeah. Arm, strong, and timber, and lake. Those 4 separate words all I was like I blew my own mind. Yeah. When I did my keyword lineup and everything. And it was like it was super eye-opening for me. And honestly, it's part of why I resigned from Seed was that dream. So in some dreams I think are decision makers for us, that they're telling us what we need to do. Yeah. And I think Timberlake was like, okay, after this next big event, you need to resign so you don't timber into some emotions, like collapse. Right. Timber means collapse and basically like an emotional breakdown sort of thing. And so that was when I started looking at what I developing an exit strategy for being able to write and do all the things that I needed to do, And it wasn't so much about leaving Seed as it was about, okay, it's time to stop putting this off, this writing and dream interpretation and all these things that you're called to do, and go do them. Yeah. And so
Are you working on the dream book and the cancer book at the same time?
No, I'm just doing the novel right now.
Okay. So, is it kind of
but the novel
scratch itchy to do the dream book?
Oh, yeah, a little bit, because I am so passionate about it. Yeah. But I am getting a lot. I do work with that a lot just naturally because people come to me a lot with dreams. So I'm getting to scratch that itch a little bit in the actual act of dream interpreting. Right, yeah. I would eventually to be able to speak and teach dream interpretation and, go to different churches or different organizations and talk about the power that our dreams have, not only in dreams and hopes for our future, but literal dreams that we have at night. And to be able to teach in that capacity. And I think that a book will help me with that to reach that point. Sense. Yeah. Because sometimes you don't always get invited to go speak somewhere unless they know that you're not full of malarkey. So, yeah, right. Or going to go up there and, do some different sketchy kind of things or whatever they might think. So, so it's not really it's not as pressing on me as the novel is.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But the part of the novel and part of what I want to write into the novel is the importance of the dreams that I had when I was going through cancer.
Right.
I didn't realize that dreams meant anything at that time. So now I'm able to write about it and not be embarrassed about my dreams, or, because sometimes people are like, that's a weird dream. Yeah. I don't know what that means,
I've always knew them meant something. I just never dive deep into it. Just like, oh, wow. And then. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I didn't even know for sure that they meant something, know. I grew up pretty, very quiet Christian home kind of upbringing, and not a whole lot of room for supernatural. My mom and dad are both believers and, believe in supernatural. And now we have all kinds of conversations about it. But I had a lot of other outside influences at my church and that sort of thing, that talking about dream interpretation or supernatural experiences were not widely discussed. Right. Even, prayers that had been answered weren't, if they were radical, like tone it down a little bit. Yeah. And so, gotcha. But that's all part of what I would like to incorporate in the novel, because it was dreams were the reason I held on. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I think you should definitely be, and I'm sure you are, as real as possible with that novel. I mean, I would say don't hold anything back.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I am right now with it, and that's why I feel ready to finish it, to just do it. Right. Because I don't, I'm not, and I don't know how to put it, but it's like I don't have any questions left about that season of my life. Right. Like I know what I was wanting to learn. Or not wanting to learn, but what I needed to learn during that season. And I know how it can help other people. And I know, sorry, my phone's ringing. Like I know that there was a purpose, there was a point. Yeah.
Do you ever, and this will be one of the last questions, do you ever, so you said the 3 dreams, teeth falling out, car crashes, and water. Now, if you reverse back in time pretty far, automobiles weren't even a thing. Right. And teeth falling out was probably definitely a thing, so they didn't think much about it. Do you ever think about what those dreams may have looked like before those top 2 out of 3?
So, faith-based woman, all my stuff's going to come back to faith, but there are tons of dreams in the Bible that I wasn't raised reading all of these dream, stories in the Bible and dream interpretation, but it's been a legit thing at least that long. Right. Where they dug what's his face up out of the prison to come interpret his dream for King whoever, about whatever was going on, and I mean,
very detailed you are.
Yeah. So, well, I'm trying to not make it a faith-based, I can quote it. But it had that amount of importance, and I mean, it's been around at least that long. Yeah. And dreams are through all cultures on Earth. Yeah. Every culture has dreams and dream interpreters and different types of dreams. And that's been a really interesting journey learning about that.
Do you think that there's something in all human beings' dreams? Like a connection?
I do, for sure. And I think it's the spirit of truth. Not only do I think it's our own truth and our inner spirit. Yeah. That all of humanity for all of time is connected in some capacity. Yeah. But also that there's a greater power. Yeah. That in that there's no other way that I can define it. I mean, if I wasn't seeking the spirit of truth and I wasn't open to truth and against lies, I'm not gonna listen to lies of the enemy, then I don't think that I ever would have learned about dreams.
Right.
Because it's scary otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, if you're like, I'm open to whatever you have to say to me. Well, there's some things I'm not open to what you have to say to me.
Right.
You know, but there is one spirit of truth that I'm willing to listen to.
Right.
And I want to know whatever, however, whoever he has to say to me about my life.
Yes. It's kind of, and that's...
Sorry, I could preach right
now. No. I love it.
There's power in it, though.
Yeah. I mean, do you think, like, the connection being, so yes, agreed. And that makes me think of, like, I know my wife, 9 months of labor, or 9 months of labor, did not mean that. I
hope not.
No. Oh my gosh. Being pregnant for 9 months, I'm watching The Battery, because that's why I'm keep doing that.
Okay.
But, that's what blows me away about the whole 9 month thing, because I know it felt like forever. And how crazy is it that a subconscious, like, thought, their own thoughts, their own process, their own dreams is like shoved into this thing that only grows for 9 months. It just blows me away. And knowing that connection and like their own everything, like subconsciously is there. It just blows me away.
Well, and that's some of the stuff that I love too. Like, I love inner healing, and I love learning about that kind of stuff and helping people reach that place. Yeah. And to just know that, like, I truly believe that from the point of conception we have a heart and soul, and that is growing even in the womb.
Do you think it's before that? That just hit me. Know. I've never asked that.
Yeah, I don't know.
In that perfect moment,
right.
You know, like,
so
because it seems so powerful.
So my daughter, the fantastic little weirdo that started talking way before.
I feel like that's on the shirt too.
It should be. And she like, that's her hashtag, fantastic little weirdo. But she was like 2 years old, and she was like, well, Mommy, where was I before I became Libby? And it's like, I don't know.
Right.
You know, and she's like
where you there?
But where was I? You know? And so, and that Crazy. So it's really, I don't think that those are answers that we'll ever have this side of heaven, but it's sure fun to think about, you know?
Yeah, it is.
And so, and to just have that capacity, like, because when I started studying dreams, like, it was really interesting because I had one encounter with a dream interpreter, and it blew my world wide open. Right. And so I dove into dream interpretation research. Yeah. And that happened in 2011. And then, you know, I was like hardcore in it, and, you know, really, I'm still in it. Yeah. You know? Yeah. But it's interesting in researching and reading things, like, I can recall dreams that I had as a very small child that I was afraid of, and then going, oh, wow, you know, I don't remember my family going through this season, but I know from family discussions and that sort of thing that this is what was happening in my family at the time. Right. And this is why I, as a little 3-year-old, had this dream, you know, 3 or 4 or whatever it is, you know. So I got into a conversation with a friend and his mom. I was like, I don't know, these thoughts just come to me, and it doesn't make any sense. And I was like, what is your earliest thought? Like, if you can just, like, whatever you're thinking now, go further back. Like, what is that first thought? And we all kind of talked about it. Yeah. And I was like, mine was walking down the street in Florida, and I came here when I was in kindergarten. And I was like, was I walking? Was I being helped? But either way, I remember going down to my great-grandfather's house. Just going there, I remember everyone hanging out in the carport. I remember taking a right into the house, and I can describe the house, and my mom said that's what it was. And then my buddy was like, yeah, you probably dreamt that. And then your dreams became as if that was real. Yeah. And I was like, possible. No, I don't want to believe that, though. I want to believe that. But if you know, if you know what I mean? If you can describe it, then it probably is a memory. You know, like my very first memory is sitting on the floor underneath the piano while my mom was playing.
How old were you?
So when I've talked to my mom about it, she thinks that I was probably between 9 months and like
that's crazy.
And like 1.
Right.
And
what about that moment? You know, like
yeah. Well, and I remember because I remember the sunlight, like in the window on my mom, and like isn't it amazing? Like to be that little. I remember the carpet. Like the carpet was super important in that dream. Like I remember my fingers in the carpet, and it was thick, like orange shag carpet. So when I told my mom about it, she was like, well, we moved out of that house when you were, 13 months old or whatever it was, right. 2 years old. And I remember that, but then I remember seeing my mom and thinking that she is the most beautiful person on earth.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I told my mom that, and she was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, that was years and years ago that I told my mom that I remembered that, and she was like, I cannot believe that you remember that. You had to have seen a picture or something.
Right.
But we don't have any pictures, of me sitting on the floor.
I feel like they were trying to beat the same. Yeah, like trying to beat it down to me. Like, right. No, it was a dream. I was like, but it felt so, like they said the same thing. Like maybe you saw that in pictures. Yeah. And I was like, it feels so real.
Yeah.
That's
did it die?
It's my fan. It's connected to my...
I was like, did the battery go?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So my daughter... so that...
Good ears, though.
It keeps going back to my daughter. And I almost said this earlier, and now that you brought this up, I'm just going to say it.
Go for it.
So she... So when I was pregnant with her, we were told that there was possibility that she had trisomy 18, which is a genetic disorder that's not viable. Most babies don't survive it. They're usually stillbirth.
Right.
And so my husband was in Afghanistan, and I was like at rock bottom. Like I was just trying to be brave and be resilient and be that spouse that's like, I've got this. I've got a preschooler and a kindergartner and a full-time job, and I'm pregnant with a baby that's not going to live, And my husband's in Afghanistan and all this stuff. And my husband was just like, she's going to be fine. I think that something's, that the test was wrong. And I refused amniocentesis just because of personal reasons. Yeah. And I was like, even if something is wrong with her, it doesn't change. Like, I'm still going to carry her to term, Mm-hmm. Well, then she was born perfectly fine. Right?
Crazy.
Like, yeah. And that's not to say that babies who are born with disabilities are any less of a miracle.
No, yeah,
they're all like, if you're breathing, you're a miracle. Yeah. Like, this is a miracle.
Right. Agreed.
So I didn't know what, I do believe in miracles and that sort of thing. And that, and I also believe that science isn't, perfect, especially OB stuff isn't a perfect art, or a perfect science.
Yeah.
And so what
did the doctor do? What?
Yeah. So the doctor said there were 3 specialists there, and one of the doctors was like, so at 37 weeks, my mom took me in I had to get regular ultrasounds. I'd been in preterm labor since like 27 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was on bed rest and all of these different things, and my mom took me in for this ultrasound at 37 weeks, and we were told that she didn't have hands or feet or brain development. And at 37 weeks, as soon as they put the little tab on my tummy, we could see her left hand. I mean, just clear. And it was like she went bam.
Yeah, like exactly.
On a glass window or something. And me and my mom and the ultrasound tech all like sucked the oxygen out of the room. Like we were like,
yeah.
And I remember, and my mom was like, see, she's fine,
yeah.
And my mom has super strong faith, and she was like, bah, I'm not believing any of that. She's fine. You're fine. Just keep cooking her, and so, and it was great. But the ultrasound tech, I remember her looking at me and she goes, don't you ever lose hope. And I was like, okay. So fast forward 2 years later, like now I've started going to church. I have have learned some things about myself and, my husband, and we've just kind of grown a little bit spiritually. But we weren't like church-going people. Does that make sense? Okay, so we didn't like read the Bible together, like go to revivals or anything like that. We were just kind of like, okay, we're going to relearn some things from our childhood. So I had my kids, and I was homeschooling my boys at the time. My daughter was had just turned 2. And I'm going to try to say this without crying.
Okay. I've literally got tissue in here.
Okay. So she had just turned 2. And while my boys were reading and like doing a worksheet and stuff, so homeschooling with a 2-year-old is like homeschooling with a raccoon in the room, right? Like they're just in everything. She was still in a diaper, so that created an interesting element, And so I had my desk was on, I had my computer open and Facebook. I had just been scrolling on Facebook while my boys were like doing little worksheets. So I got up to go check what my kids were doing. And my daughter crawls up in the spinny chair, to start playing in my chair at my desk. And she stood up in the chair and she's like bouncing on the back of the chair. And I tell her to sit down. And I turn around and she sits down and she's looking at my computer screen. And it's just Facebook. And somebody had posted this painting that was done of Jesus, it's an 11-year-old prodigy. I bet you've seen the painting. It's like a famous painting. Anyway, So this picture is open, like on my Facebook page. I didn't go looking for it.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, I know him. And I was like, what? So I walk over and I go, what? And she goes, yeah, he see me in your tummy. He looked me in my eyes.
Oh, man.
And I was like, what? And she goes, he touched me with his glory.
She said that? What? That's crazy.
And I don't say stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful to me in that moment. Like, I was like, all right.
Sold.
Yeah. I mean, I was like laid out, all right, I'm all in, all in on this Jesus thing.
Dang.
So, but the thing that got me was like, those aren't words that she had heard.
Right.
Like, I don't walk around saying,
right.
Even now, sold out on the Jesus thing. Right. I don't walk around saying, glory, glory.
Yeah,
that's just not in our dialogue.
Yeah, sure.
My husband's just as much church as he is whiskey on a Friday night. It just wasn't something that she would have heard us say.
Yeah.
And when she said that, when she was like, oh, I know him. He saw me in your tummy. He looked me in my eyes and touched me with his glory. Have
you told her that since? Or is she there where you could tell her that? Or
I don't know if I've ever talked to her about it. So we actually have a replica of that painting now.
Oh. Of course.
Yeah.
Is it signed by Jesus on the back?
No. Oh. So, and it's actually small and it's in my desk. Yeah. I keep it, kept it in there. But, and it's not a picture it is famous, but it's, I think this girl painted it in maybe, 2008 or something like that. Yeah. It's not like an old 1970s picture of Jesus that she could have seen at her grandma's house or something like that, And the thing was, she was in such a, little 2-year-old raccoon kind of thing that she's, crawling and spinning on my chair. She didn't climb up there to look at the picture. Right. She was playing with the chair. Yeah. And it caught my attention because she was still, she stopped.
Oh, yeah.
And, the way that she was,
yeah.
And, it just... it knocked me out.
Yeah.
And I was like, what'd you say? And she was just like, la, la.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, no.
No, no. What did you just say?
So then I told my husband, like, that night, and I couldn't even get it out. Like, I was
no
like,
doubt. Yeah.
You know? And he was like, well, I mean, she definitely has the story to go along with it. Like, I mean,
right.
It's not like that didn't happen. We already know that happened, you know? And so that makes me think that there's a capacity for us to even know our memories and our dreams
in the belly,
in the womb, you know, like to recognize it. So, but yeah, that's interesting. She's almost 8. I could probably ask her about it.
Or show
again.
her the picture.
Yeah, and see just, if she says anything.
Hey, who's this?
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. So, and then she does know the story of not having hands or feet. Yeah. Like, because she'll actually tell people that, because we changed her name because of it. So.
What's her name?
Libby Elise. So, and we had originally, we named her Felicity Elise, right after we got the diagnosis. And so, and actually my oldest son told us, he was like, her name is Felicity Elise, and she's going to be just fine. Yeah. Like, he told us that when we were pregnant, and we were like, okay, you're 5. And so, but we both actually really like the name. Yeah. And it means God's promise of happiness. Gotcha. So we had decided that if she was born, you know, with without hands and feet, that we wanted her to be happy and joyful. Yeah. And so we just picked that name. And then my husband was in Afghanistan when she was born, and he called me, and it was this whole big debate because he could have come back when she was born because of, you know, the medical stuff. Yep. But he really wanted to stay with his unit, and he was like, I just feel like she's gonna be fine. Yeah. And you know, so and he was right. And so when she was like 2 or 3 days old, I was still in the hospital because of complications and stuff. And he called me. He was like, hey, did you fill out her birth certificate yet? And I said no. And he was like, okay, because I really want to change her name. And I was like, to what? Because he always had really terrible ideas. And so I was like, and he told me, he was like, well, I really just want to name her Libby Elise. And I was like, well, let me look up what it means. Yeah. Because I don't know what Libby means. And we had wanted Libby to be her nickname, but he was like, no, I want it to be just Libby. Right. You know? And he goes, no, I already looked it up, and it means God's faithful to his promises. And I was like, and that is true. You know?
Okay, hubby, you've done your homework.
Yeah, yeah. And so, and he was more of a faith-filled man at the time than I was, you know, so I was kind of like, okay, well, you know, she's doing pretty good so far, you know, so, yeah. But I mean, she was totally fine. And then, so one of the things that she gets asked all the time is, what's your real name? Because Libby's usually a nickname. Right. And she's like, it's just Libby, and it means God's faithful to his promises.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Like, back up.
Yeah. So she has heard that sort of story. Yeah. And then she'll randomly be like, my name used to be Felicity, but then I grew hands and feet. So now my name's Libby. And that opens up a whole can of worms that people are like, what? You know?
It was like, okay. Okay.
Then I grew hands and feet. Like, that happened at the soccer field a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Was like, then I grew hands and feet. Yeah.
It's like a lizard grows her tail back.
Yeah, and all the parents on the sidelines are like, and one of the moms was like, I feel like there's more to that story. Yeah. And I was like, a little bit. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so.
That's cool. Awesome. Yeah. No, and I appreciate you sharing that story, because that's a cool story. That's a cool story. Yeah. We are running up on time, and honestly, I think I talked, so Kelsey was on the podcast. I think I talked to her for like 3+ hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was at the end of the day. And I got another appointment coming up, and womp.
Yeah.
Because I'd go deeper and deeper and deeper, and that's why I think maybe I should just sit out of one, and you guys just blah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it'd be so cool. Well, and I feel like dream interpretation leads into what she's doing over there at the center so much, you know, like, and dream interpretation is one of those interesting things because it really is so therapeutic for people. Like, people are plagued by dreams.
Yeah.
And, I mean, even not a nightmare. Like, people can have a dream that is just weird.
Right.
And you can't get it out of your head.
Yeah,
and
it means something. What is this?
Yeah. Or, like, you keep going back to it, and it's like, ugh, you know? And, I mean, it's helpful in that therapeutic kind of way. And then it's also, like, before the hurricane had canceled what they were doing at Prest, she had that freak show for her thing. And
she's on the podcast too.
Oh, is she? Oh, cool. So I told Ashley was like calling all freaks and geeks, and I was like, hey, you know, dream interpretation is a little freaky.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, I forgot you did that. Please come out.
Yeah.
But then when it got rescheduled, I wasn't able to go. But yeah, so it really, like, it goes in that capacity, and then it goes on the church side of things.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it just touches every part of our being, you know. Dreams are so vital.
Yeah. And I know. I want to ask the wife and my oldest daughter. Mm-hmm. Again, weird saying that. What did they dream, or you know, like, I just want to, because that's not for me, not regular conversation. Like, and now I want to know a little bit deeper on, you know, what's happening when all else is quiet but their mind. Right. You know, I want to know now. Yeah.
Well, and it says a lot. Like, it's been really insightful for our marriage.
Right.
And our kids. Like, it's a conversation at the dinner table now, you know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, has anybody had any weird dreams this week?
Right.
You know? So.
Bet some are like, I ain't talking about that dream I just had.
Yeah.
Not here, not now.
Yeah.
But yes.
Especially with my boys hitting puberty, they're like, Mom.
Nope.
There's some dreams you don't need.
Nope. I dreamt about veggies last night, Mom. So, since I've kind of peppered you with questions, what question do you have for me?
Oh. Would you ever get a dream interpreter?
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
You would?
Yes. That's why I want to pay a little bit more attention. Because I just don't.
Yeah.
And I think about, so I started thinking, like, man, what do I dream? And I think I just dream about waking up. So I can, like, do what I got to do, you know? Yeah. But maybe there's more to it. Maybe I don't dream about that. I don't know what I dream.
Well, just invite spirit to
talk to you. And I will, for sure. No doubt. Yeah. And then, probably ask the wife to do it, too.
You know what's weird is, so when people do that, they're like,
should I set
that won't work.
No.
Inevitably, they text me like within a week, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't even sleep now. Like, I'm dreaming so much." Yeah,
and I think, you know, if you invite the energy, like, everything's energy.
Right.
If you invite it, it's got to show you something.
Yep.
Do you think I should do that on the weekend, like at time that I would usually sleep into 6? Instead of do a 4:30
Not necessarily.
Because, like, what if it gets good and then my alarm clock goes off, I guess, as well.
Well, I don't think that a dream ever ends inappropriately. Like, I think it's always the best timing.
Oh, okay.
Like, I really do. And I mean, like I said, you can have a dream during a cat nap, you know?
Yeah.
And you don't have to be doing, you know, 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep to get a good dream in, you know?
I'm going to hit you up as soon as it comes through.
Yeah, and the platform that I'm on the most is Instagram.
Yeah. So where can they find you? Listeners and viewers. Where can they find you?
Yeah, so first of all, my website, if you want to know a little bit more about me rather than just giving me your dreams, which
Give me your dreams.
I honor and appreciate and love. But there is a pretty extensive about me with my background in education and dream interpreting credentials and all that kind of thing, which you don't have to have. Anybody can interpret dreams. Yeah. But, so my website is my name, AlyssaHennessy.com. So, okay. Super easy. And there's a dream form on there that they can go. There's a drop down under storytelling that has writing, speaking, dream interpretation, because all of that is storytelling in some capacity. Dreams are just the stories we're telling ourselves.
Right.
So, but they can go in and click on the form and send me their dreams that way.
Gotcha.
Or they can, I'm also on Facebook, but I don't check it as much. But on Instagram, they can DM me dreams if they want.
Where would they find you on Instagram? What's your handle?
Alyssa Hennessy. Or Alyssa, It's Alyssa D. Hennessy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
okay.
Apparently I'm not the only one.
Yeah. That's such a great name. I feel like oh my gosh. That's why everyone wants it. So guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, obviously there's more podcasts to come. So subscribe. I really screwed this sentence up. At Proven by Ruben. Subscribe at Proven by Ruben. And thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to do it again with Kelsey.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next time I'll come back, I'll have like a hardcover book to give you.
That you're going to sign.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See ya.
Yay.